What's going on, guys? Getting a little bit of a chance to spend some time with the GSXR 1000. And, you know, recently, Suzuki have revealed the 2026 GSXR 1000, and there's a lot of changes that they've made. So in this video, I want to talk about some of those changes and what they could mean for that bike. But we're going to do it from the point of view of the outgoing bike, the 2025. So let's get this machine on the road and chat about that new GSXR 1000. Tell you what, Suzuki, you're going to have to do a lot to do better than this. You're going to have to do an exceptional job with this 2026. I'll get to the talking in a minute. Let's have some fun. Guys, now we can do some talking. I wanted to let this 2025 do a little bit of chatting on her own. Okay, well, let's dive into the new bike. So the first thing they were talking about was upgraded engine internals, beefier crankshaft, beefier connecting rods, all presumably for durability. Now, is that really needed for the street? Look, it's a GSXR boys. What kind of work has this bike been doing in the configuration that it's been in now since 2017, 8 years? Now look, maybe the race guys need something a bit more robust, but the guys that have been putting in the most work, drag race guys, roll race guys, they really don't seem to have had any engine failures. So if Suzuki's making those changes, it's definitely because they've seen failures, or at least they've had a want from race teams somewhere wanting those types of components for homologation purposes. So I get that. But that's not what makes the bike Euro 5 compliant. It's the rest of the story. Higher compression pistons, 13.2 to 1 in this bike, 13.8 in the new bike. That's a big jump. Worth almost 2% in power gain if everything were left alone, assuming that you don't run up against knocking and pinging fuel issues. Hold please. So, definitely a performance gain, but only if you can take advantage of the fuel. So what's going on with the camshaft profiles? Well, we don't know anything about that. Not yet anyway. But the European bikes have gone to a wide lobe separation angle profile. They've been doing it for a while. That helps with emissions. It also helps to make power way out on the right-hand side of the tachometer. Maybe there's something to that for that new GSXR 1000. We'll just have to wait and see those bikes on the dyno or in the hands of professionals on closed course. But the rest of the story is also pretty interesting. Larger throttle bodies and larger exhaust valves. You know, when the Hayabusa went through its Euro 5 conditioning, it got smaller components, at least smaller throttle bodies. Hold, please. The Hayabusa went through what you would maybe consider to be a more traditional detuning protocol, if you will. It certainly got revised camshafts, but it also got other components to help boost airflow at lower RPM. Helps with cylinder filling and doing away with all those pesky, unwanted emissions. Suzuki went the other direction with the 1000. Gave it bigger throttle bodies, bigger exhaust valves. So, what does this all add up to? Well, if you're looking at it from one point of view, it's a lot of performance augmentation. So what's the catch? Well, it's in the exhaust system. You see, what Suzuki have done is they've fitted that bike with a much larger catalytic converter. They've moved the catalytic converter further closer to the headers also. And that's to make the catalytic converter more efficient. Makes it work better at catalyzing, but it wrecks exhaust flow pretty significantly. Other motorcycles have seen this. Matter of fact, the first one that comes to mind, Kawasaki Z900. That motorcycle, in its Euro 5 compliancy, down on power. Right up until you change out a few components, let that engine breathe. Next thing you know, everything that Kawasaki had done to that bike made it a more powerful bike than the outgoing machine. Now, is that what's going to happen with the GSXR 1000? Who knows? We don't know that yet, but the horsepower figures are a little bit concerning. The new bike's down about 6 or 7 horsepower and down about 4 or 5 pound-feet of torque over the outgoing bike. But don't let that fool you. We haven't seen the unrestricted bikes on a dyno. The B-roll footage shows that bike to be pretty stout. So I think all in all, I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic with where the new bike is going to be in terms of power output. We know there's a lot of potential there. Certainly a lot of potential if you are going racing. Heavier duty components, seemingly better reliability under high stress conditions. In that respect, definitely a plus. Now, what that engine calibration looks like to tuners and what that exhaust system looks like to performance, that's what we're all waiting to find out. But I've got a sneaking suspicion that Suzuki is not going to show up back in Europe with an inferior motorcycle to the one that has been in the United States and in other markets up to this point. And I'm pretty sure that they're not going to bring an inferior product to the States when compared to the outgoing 2025 down to 2017 models. Again, I gotta stay cautiously optimistic, but I don't think anybody wants to give up this. part right there is so fun for me, because as the bike's coming up, it'll bring the front tire up just a little bit. A little on the side of the tire wheelage for you, boys. So back at the marina, I gotta say, final thoughts on the 2026 GSXR 1000. Well, the final chapter on that bike obviously is yet to be written, at least in production status. We don't know what it's going to look like yet in terms of horsepower and torque, and how that's going to affect overall comparability with the outgoing bike. They have got a hell of a job on their hands keeping up with the likes of a machine like this. They've done quite a bit to the new bike though. They've even included a lithium battery to help keep weight low. The ABS unit is lighter. There's a lot going on with that bike that you would say is definitely a step in the right direction for performance. Will Euro 5 compatibility kill the nature of the GSXR 1000? Nah, it'll maybe make it a little bit different, but I think that once tuners get their hands on that bike, it's going to be all over but the crying. But that's just my cautious optimism yapping away. Post up your comments. Let me know what you think about that bike. I hope to catch you on the next one. Take care.